Euromaxx highlights. In this edition, startling art. German artist Rebecca Hahn picks up yet another prize. Power of music. How opera helped Arno Stocker overcome his disability. Former glory. A lovingly restored early 20th century home in the Ruhr Valley. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Karen Helmstedt.
Hi there and welcome to our highlights edition. Well, Wolfgang Joop is one of those guys who's more or less done it all. The German designer rose to fame back in the 1980s with his very first label, Joop, which he eventually sold before going on to explore his talents as an artist and a writer. Well, by 2004, he was back in the heart of the fashion world with his exclusive label Wunderkind, and we took in his eagerly awaited show at the Pret-a-Porter in Paris, where the Wunderkind himself insisted on being fashionably late.
Wolfgang Joop heading for his Paris show at the Palais de Tokyo. He's running a little late, but he doesn't let that bother him. Preparations have been running at full speed for hours now. Models getting their hair styled, trying on their footwear, and practicing their runway walks.
Really high heels, but it's so comfortable. It's really comfortable. So we can walk very well, no problems with this.
A champagne reception to welcome the media. This is Paris after all. The critics are many and very hard to please, but that's exactly what motivates Wolfgang Joop. Here in Paris, he wants to tell his story. A vision inspired by childhood memories of a Portuguese garden, presented in cool, austere surroundings.
Fashion in hard times was always an adventure and an opportunity to create a different atmosphere. In hard times like these, which are difficult and full of crises and uncertainties, I don't want to bore people with safe fashions.
It might take some courage to actually wear these outfits in public, but Wolfgang Joop sees fashion more as art than as business.
I don't think about who wears it. I don't think about who buys it. I don't think about what it costs. What I think about is, I want to see this image, and before that there's a white canvas, and I paint on it. And it's done when it's done.
Wolfgang Joop uses his designs to give his feelings expression. That's why the designer doesn't let himself be influenced by trends. In Paris, he's focused on his own show and nothing else.
I used to get very excited by it all and look in the internet or wherever, maybe even at other shows, but somehow that doesn't interest me at the moment. I'm concentrating on myself and my projects. It is what it is, and I wouldn't even think about coloring something just because someone else has some other color.
And that attitude has earned him the respect of other fashion designers in Paris.
He's very talented. I've known him for a long time. I remember when I met him at the Interstoff fabric show in Frankfurt. A beautiful man, very elegant. He was already making fashion then. Great stuff. And today I still like his creations very much. He really has a lot of talent. You have to be proud of him.
Quite a few of my students were there working with him when he set up his Wunderkind. And I always knew him. I used to invite him to our fashion shows, and he's a very social and kind and very nice man, and he's a friend.
Bill Kaulitz, the lead singer for the German pop band Tokyo Hotel, has also come to admire Wolfgang Joop. They've been getting to know each other personally for the first time while working together in Paris on an episode for a French-German TV documentary series.
We hit it off immediately. There were none of those uncomfortable pauses. We didn't have any of that. So we just had a great time, had dinner together, and looked at a few things.
The flamboyant pop star has a clear opinion of Wolfgang Joop's designs.
It's good that it's not exactly everyday wear. That's my department. But I totally like it. It's more colorful than what I wear, but I like that.
But even if the Tokyo hotel singer decided to wear something from Wolfgang Joop's collection, his fans would have to wait a few months to see it. Because this collection was designed for the summer, not the dreary days of late autumn.
Well, this autumn certainly isn't dreary for Rebecca Horn, who's to receive the Premium Imperiale in Tokyo on October 13th. Now, that's one of the world's most coveted prizes for the arts. Established by Japan's imperial family in 1989, it honors artists who've made a significant contribution to the development of international arts and culture. Horn takes home the prize for sculpture, and as the only German amongst this year's laureates, we thought we'd look at some of her most defining works.
This is Rebecca Horn's 2004 installation, Moon Mirror. Staged in a church, it represents an age-old dream of mankind, capturing the moon. Finding the right technical solutions to complete the work took 2 years. For Rebecca Horn, the relationship between the artwork and its architectural setting is always important.
People discover for themselves their own picture, their own emotions, by working on themselves and becoming immersed in this whole work and thinking about it.
She first attracted major attention with this performance in 1972 at the highly influential Documenta art exhibition in Kassel.
I called it a portrait drawn by the wind, because it's just a line that goes over the paper like a strong wind.
Der Eintänzer, a 1978 work in which a table dances the tango. Rebecca Horn often brings objects to life. In Rebecca Horn's world, anything can happen. Her startling works have picked up numerous prizes throughout her career, including the Imperial Ring of the City of Goslar in 1992. The Kiss of the Rhinoceros was a central work in the New York Guggenheim Museum's 1993 retrospective. A major Horn retrospective took place at Berlin's Martin Gropiusbau in 2006. She created The Universe in a Pearl, especially for the show, a meditation on life and death.
It's an energy that I have to release so that I can start on a new work and free myself from it. In the end, it's like the Dalai Lama says, the holy emptiness. You have to create the emptiness in order to do new things.
For decades, Rebecca Horn has been challenging people to immerse themselves in her works and discover things about themselves.
Well, we turn now to the inspiring tale of Arno Stocker. He was born in 1956 with a spastic disorder that left his hands, his feet and tongue paralyzed. But a couple of key encounters with music helped him to overcome this severe disability and even to pursue a career with the instrument that he so very much longed to play. Well, Stocker now tunes and restores old pianos on Lake Chiemsee in southern Bavaria, and he told us his incredible story.
For Arno Stocker, his work is more than just a way to earn a living.
Preserving old pianos, tuning and caring for old instruments is my calling. In this piano, we replaced the hammers and the dampers, even though the expert said the piano was a lost cause. And now we're putting it back together.
Lost causes have a special charm for the 54-year-old. In 2005, Arno Stocker founded the Enrico Caruso Agency in Bernau am Chiemsee, where he's developed a loyal base of customers. Today, a customer is checking on the status of the work so far.
The hammers and dampers are done, but it still has to be tuned.
As a young child, Arno Stocker could not speak or walk. He was born with cerebral palsy and is still nearly blind and unable to drive. His wife Karin is a constant source of support.
In the
1950s, the medical prognosis for a child with cerebral palsy was that he'd be lucky to survive. Learning to speak was rare, and learning to walk was close to a miracle.
Stocker grew up in an institution. His parents had difficulty coping with their son's disability. In his recently published memoirs, he described his childhood.
My father used my piano to build his new terrace. Once he realized the cost of repairing the piano was higher than what it was worth, he decided to turn the piano into a bar. That's when I decided that would never happen to an old piano of mine again. So I decided to become a piano maker. That was the trigger.
His grandfather supported his aspirations and gave him a recording of the Italian tenor Enrico Caruso. Despite his speech impediment, Arno Stocker tried to imitate the arias. After 6 weeks of effort, he started to speak. His grandfather also introduced him to another renowned singer, the Greek soprano Maria Callas.
My grandfather heard that Callas was going to sing in Hamburg, and he wanted me to get the chance to meet her. There was a huge commotion at the stage door, and Callas came out. He asked her if she would talk to me. She was very friendly and even spoke German with me. She asked, "Should I sing for you?" And I said, "Yes, you should sing for me."
The meeting was a transformative experience for the 10-year-old. He began to regularly write to the opera star. Later, Maria Callas invited him to her music school in New York. Music became his lifeline and his inspiration. In 2009, Stocker built his own grand piano. The custom-built instrument cost 75,000 euros and has an automatic playing mechanism.
It's dedicated to Maria Callas. We built the overtones of Callas's voice into the piano. We made sure the resonance was reminiscent of Callas's voice.
Despite his disability, Arno Stocker never lost his courage. His love for music helped him overcome many obstacles.
Well, speaking of obstacles, we're now off to Spain to get a Catalonian take on challenges and tests of courage, and with a custom that is truly not for the faint of heart. In the northeastern region of Catalonia, they have a tradition of building human towers, or castells as they call them, and every 2 years they even hold a popular championship. In the coastal town of Tarragona, Euromaxx went along to witness a truly spectacular feat.
The combined force of over 100 people is the foundation and energy that holds everything together. The more people who take part, the higher and more complex the resulting pyramid. Strong people are at the bottom with the lightest on top, more than 15 meters above ground. Concentration, discipline, and courage are essential. Teamwork is also crucial. Catalonia's 14 best teams show their stuff in Tarragona's bullfighting arena.
I like how they work together, the competitive spirit.
I'm fascinated by how brave the groups are.
The
colors are so lively. It's a festival for everybody. And I really liked how the 4 towers grew so high.
The falls are spectacular, but the people at the bottom absorb much of the fall. Mostly, there are just a few bruises. Music is important. It signals people on the bottom who can't see that things are about to get tough. The tower has to be built and taken back down without a single fall.
This is for the ribs. It gives extra support and makes it less painful.
Many groups include whole families, from grandparents to grandchildren. The little children who climb to the top now will be at the base later in life. It's an exercise in community spirit, as well as a repeated test of individual limits.
The height is always awe-inspiring, but you get used to it, and then it's okay.
You don't look down, just ahead.
You fall if you look down.
It has an athletic side. People have to learn to be careful not to fall. But it's also a game for people that are very well prepared to build these kind of towers.
Final practice for the Colla Chiquets de Tarragona. They practice 3 times a week. They aren't favored to win as their group is too small to build a giant pyramid. But what counts is the fun and the experience of everyone working together. 5-year-old Ivan is way at the top.
Were you scared climbing up? What do you like the most?
When they clap for me.
The tower building tradition goes back 200 years. People used to build pyramids for fun at dances. They became increasingly taller and more complex.
It used to be mainly farmers and dock workers that built human pyramids. Today, students take part, as well as people of all different professions and all social classes, especially women.
The first contest in the Tarragona Arena took place in 1932. This year's winner is the Colla from Vilafranca, their 5th consecutive win. They won the battle against rivals and themselves and are receiving 17,000 euros in prize money.
A little cheaper now. A closer look at the real Berliner's favorite fast food, the currywurst. That's a sausage that's served up with a good dousing of curry ketchup. Berlin claims this specialty as its own, and all over town you can find variations on the basic theme, but it was the entire culture surrounding the currywurst that interested author Petra Boden.
With or without onions, sliced, whole, with fries or a bread roll, Berlin's curried sausage is the stuff of legend. Some 800 million of them are consumed in Germany every year, and 70 million in Berlin alone, at the popular Curry 36 snack bar in the multicultural Kreuzberg neighborhood, for example. Petra Boden went behind the scenes at Curry 36 and 4 other snack bars to research the curried sausage phenomenon and find out what exactly makes it so popular in the German capital.
Since German reunification, the currywurst has enjoyed massive hype and cult status. But when it's mentioned in guidebooks and in media, it's only in terms of where is the tastiest or the most authentic and so on. There's nothing about its history. And that's what interested me the most.
So Petra talked to customers, vendors, and experts, and even sifted through archives. In the course of her research, she found out that the taste is only part of currywurst's appeal.
In the many years I've spent researching currywurst, I've never once seen anyone eating it while on the go. I think eating a curried sausage is a social ritual. You eat it standing with people from all sections of society, all ages, men and women.
It's easy to get in a conversation. Between ordering, waiting, and eating, Petra has always had plenty of time to collect anecdotes for her book. The unique atmosphere at currywurst snack bars attracts all sorts of people, from students to bankers, tourists, and locals.
Back in Paris, I read in a guidebook that you can get the best currywurst in town here. That's why we're here. It's the first time I've tried it, and it's really delicious.
It's pretty much what I expected. Probably a little bit better than what I expected. It's definitely worth the trip.
The first currywurst was sold in Berlin in 1949. A number of cities dispute whether it was the first in Germany. The actual sausage is only secondary. The main thing is the sauce. Every snack bar boasts its own special recipe, and the original was even patented.
Hertha Heuwe was the first snack bar owner in Berlin to sell curried sausage, without skin and with a homemade sauce made of ketchup and spices.
Now Berlin simply wouldn't be the same without curried sausage. In 2009, a museum dedicated to this local delicacy even opened in the city. Berlin currywurst. Anyone who's never tried it doesn't know what they're missing.
Well, as part of the Ruhr Valley's European Capital of Culture program, some of the area's most interesting homes and housing projects have been opened up to the public, and one of them is the Ton Prikker house in Hagen. It's named after the Dutch painter Jan Ton Prikker, who was the first resident of the house a century ago. In 2008, it was bought by an architectural firm and then restored to house an office and an upstairs apartment.
All the ornamentation of the Ton Prikker house in Hagen has been restored true to the original. The current owner shows us interior features of the early 20th century villa.
Welcome to the Ton Prikker house, a building under monument protection. We remodeled it as a residence and office. Please come in. Now we're entering what was Ton Prikker's studio. We've turned it into an apartment. And now I can introduce you to Annelie Reis, our happy tenant.
The 200 square meter studio apartment was not easy for Annelie Reis to furnish because hardly any wall is really straight. But the biggest challenge for the physician was the idea of living in a 100-year-old architectural monument.
At first I couldn't even imagine living in such an apartment. It's like a museum, fantastic. But when Jörg and Carsten Ackermann said that they would take me as a tenant, I thought, okay, seize the opportunity. What great luck.
With a mixture of family heirlooms and modern furniture, she made herself a cozy home within the old walls. The many windows make the room very bright. The apartment is unusual because some of the outside walls are thicker than others.
These window ledges here are fairly normal, but over here you see much wider ones. Here the house was built outward with very big ledges. I always have to stop people from giving me things to fill up the space. That's a problem. It's already pretty full.
The Ton Prikker house is one of 9 artist residences here. The Hohenhagen complex was developed by an art patron, the founder of the Folkwang Museum, Karl Ernst Osthaus. He built it between 1909 and 1911. For 9 years, it was the home of the Dutch painter and glass artist Jan Ton Prikker, for whom it is named. In just 11 months, the new owners restored the building, investing about €1 million. The renovators scraped away 11 layers of wallpaper, revealing a precious stenciled painting by Ton Prikker.
I have a few photos from when we found the fragments. We finally decided to restore the ceiling to make the feel of the room complete.
The new owners wanted to make evidence of the past visible. The floor coverings of wooden planks and terrazzo polished stone are the originals and bear witness to 100 years of history. Some of the office rooms are in a structure built in the mid-1950s. It's not under monument protection, so Jörg Ackermann was able to give this part of the building a contemporary design.
Well, just a reminder that you can find out lots more information about our program on our website. Just go to dw-world.de/English/Euromaxx. And with that, we've reached the end of this edition of our highlights. So until we meet again, alles Gute aus Berlin and bye-bye.